Welcome to the Embrace Strength podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Crocker. I am an experienced trainer and active life professional. I work with people who are struggling with nagging pain to get back to the activities they love without fear of re-injury. This podcast is here to educate and provide value to you on all things health, fitness, staying active, and personal development. Let's dive in. Alrighty, welcome to another Feisty Friday episode. Today, I'm going to chat about how you can stop killing your progress in the gym. I see this mistake a lot. And one of the mistakes is stop doing different things every single day of the week. If you are somebody who's finding a new Pinterest workout or a new swipe workout from Sally on Instagram, like every time you are in the gym, that is not the way. That is not the way to get stronger and improve, right? So those little random workouts are okay, like every once in a while, like if we're traveling and we need something quick, but that should not be something that you're doing every single day consistently. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking, why is that a problem? And that is because of something called progressive overload, which is basically a term that describes how we get stronger through progression over time. So what that means is we really should be doing the same movements for at least 6 weeks, if not more, in order to see progress and gains. Now, I'm not saying you need to do the exact same workouts for 6 weeks. What I am saying is the movements, and then from week to week, you're progressing in either reps or weight over the course of those 6 weeks, for example. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, that sounds so boring. I can never do that. Well, I've got news for you. If it is boring, you're doing it right. Like, the shit that works is not sexy. And it is not, swipe viral worthy. And what I encourage you to do is reframe that as, like, every workout that I do doesn't have to be super exciting. It doesn't have to be this dopamine hit of adrenaline, okay? So there's that. Next up, make sure you're doing all movement patterns. So when I say movement patterns, I'm talking about squat, hinge, deadlift, push, pull, carry. These all fall under the categories of movement patterns. And under the movement patterns are actual like exercises, like squats, lunges, deadlifts. Those are all under the umbrellas of movement patterns. And sometimes what I see is guys skipping leg day, girls skipping upper body day. That's a no-go. We need a balance of doing all the movement patterns. And caveat to that is you need to make sure you're actually doing the movement patterns right and using the right muscles so that it's doing what we think it's doing. I know that kind of sounds like, oh, well, duh, but I can't tell you how many people that I've worked with, they're doing a movement pattern completely wrong. And so they've been, for the easiest one that comes to mind is like somebody not hinging properly. So they have a really squatty hinge and they're not even using their glutes and hamstrings and they're just using their back. And that's a problem because all this time, they thought they were deadlifting and doing a hinge, but they were actually doing more of a squat. And so now we have to kind of backpedal and retrain how to actually do the movement pattern right. And so really important there. And if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of strength training experience and you are honestly not even sure where you're supposed to feel a squat or where you're supposed to feel a hinge, it is worth the investment to hire a professional to make sure you're moving right. Think about it like this. You're hopefully going to be working out in strength training for the rest of your life, for many years to come. If you take the time to work with a trainer and actually learn how to do these things right, that's going to pay off in dividends for years to come. And a lot of people don't view having a trainer in that way. But I think that's a really powerful reframe. That's something that's going to pay off year over year over year versus you moving like shit for years and then you start having back pain and then you can't even lift anymore and you're either going to stop lifting and move less altogether, or you're going to work with somebody like me to help you get out of back pain, which we can do that. But like, what if you would have gotten a trainer when you first started training and you learned how to do things more correctly? So there's some food for thought there. And what I want to leave you with is a story of a client that I worked with. I worked with her in person, and she was somebody who had done group fitness before. She had actually worked with personal trainers before. But after our first session, she told me, I have never worked with a trainer like you. I have never had anybody actually break down the movement like you do and make sure I'm doing it right. I always wondered why when I deadlift, I didn't feel it in my butt. Or, another thing she talked about was actually going slow and using tempo. She's like, I've never gone that slow before, but I can absolutely see and feel the benefit of doing that. And so, anyways, I wanted to share that because that might resonate with you. You might be somebody who has worked out before in a group environment, but you've never had actually somebody like break it down, watch your movement, ask you, where are you feeling this, to make sure you're actually doing it right. And if you are somebody who desires that, you want to make sure you're moving right, movement quality is important to you, you want to keep working out for years to come, I would love to chat with you. That is the type of client I want to work with. And yeah, that is pretty much all I have for you for today. But the 2 takeaways of how to stop killing your progress: make sure you are doing some type of progressive overload. You're not doing different things every single day. If it feels boring, you're doing it right. And if you're somebody who maybe you don't need a coach, but you need a program to follow, would love for you to send me a DM on Instagram or reach out to me, and I can talk to you about, your background, and then I can make recommendations of programming for you to get. Because I do have a few recommendations, but it's going to depend on your training background, what your goals are, and the time that you have. So would love to help you narrow that down and find what is right for you if you are somebody who really just needs a proper programming. Alrighty, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is AshleyCrocker127. If you want to check out my website, embracestrength.co. Talk to you next time.